Hey, Simplified family, what's going on? Thanks for hanging out with us in the Simplified Church studio today. It is man, it's just kind of a gloomy fall day where I am. I don't know where you guys are or what you're experiencing out there when you look outside your window, but it just looks like November outside, which, I guess is a win because it is, in fact, November. But always with me in the studio is my man, Josh. How you doing, buddy?
I am fabulous,
I
which is
like what
weird
you're
to
doing with
say.
your
I don't know
hair
that.
lately.
What's that?
I said, I like what you're doing with your hair lately, and maybe that's what it is. You've got kind of a new style going on, don't you?
I'm trying.
I like it, man. It's edgy.
Maybe this is part of my midlife crisis, realizing that I'm on the downhill trend towards 50, and I'm trying to look younger. I make fun of my kids, and maybe this is the time that I should pull out the 6'7".
I think so, man. That's the way to do it. Yeah.
Is that what skibbity?
Yeah, skibbity Riz.
100%. Bro. What's up, bro?
Bruh. Yeah, what's up, bruh? Man, it is good to see you, dude. Yeah, I do like that. As a man that doesn't have any hair except on his face, I enjoy a good hairstyle. So it's something I admire from afar. It's looking good on you, man. And maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's why you're feeling fabulous right now.
Maybe.
I
appreciate it. The good and the bad of that, and probably telling everybody more than they want to know. But the age is getting to my head as well. And
well,
the way I have it is so that I can keep it longer on top and not look like it's getting so thin. So
yeah, well, I get that, man.
Aged both of ourselves on that one.
What are you talking about? Dude, if you look at this with the 4 filters I have turned on, I mean, you cannot tell I'm in my 40s. Look at that. I'm young,
Right. Can you filter out all my gray so I don't look?
I know, man. Man, but it is good to see you, dude. It's good to be together. I love that we have this opportunity to just continue to try to resource pastors and connect with folks in the trenches, recognizing that, man, ministry is hard. It is. And we say that every week. And so sometimes it's just important for those that are in ministry to hear someone else acknowledge it because there's, I don't know, kind of there's solidarity and commisery, I think sometimes, and understanding that ministry is tough, especially this time of year. I have to apologize on the front end. I was telling Josh that I've developed over the last couple of years some significant fall allergies. So if it sounds like, hey, that guy sounds like he has allergies, it's because I, in fact, do. So if I get into a coughing fit or sneezing and I have to lean out of view of the camera, you'll know why. Yeah, heavily medicated, but they're just not really they're not taking care of it. But it is what it is. I think a lot of people can relate to that. Man, I am excited for our conversation today, because as we know, this is a busy time of year. It's stuff that pastors know, church leaders know. It's stuff that people in your church know. It's stuff that you hear regularly, like, oh, I know this is such a busy time of year for you guys. And so they recognize it, like it's part of the cultural zeitgeist of I think modern Christianity and the American church. People just recognize whether you're doing, outreach programs, you're giving away turkeys, you're feeding families at Thanksgiving, you're hosting fellowship dinners, people have events, you're getting geared up for Christmas, you've got Christmas Eve services. Holy smokes, is this a busy couple of months? But that's the beauty of the kind of the church calendar, the church seasons is I love these 2 months in the church because they are a lot of fun and people are around and I don't know, the hearts are open and smiles are warm and it's a good thing. And you get to tend to, make a big difference. But part of that struggle of the busyness of, looking at the end of a year is the notion of giving, and listen, Simplified Church is first and foremost, man, they are a bookkeeping accounting service for churches. And so this is something that, your team is regularly having conversations about with pastors, with leaders in churches around what does end of year giving look like. And in many ways, it becomes this thing that we don't want to talk about, right? Like we don't want to talk about it from stage because we got a lot of guests coming in this time of year. Oh man, we don't talk about that. Maybe the budget's not looking so good. Maybe we're trending toward red, and man, we're outspending maybe what we're bringing in, and it's just been an expensive year because of facility needs or whatever kind of things come up, and so we don't want to talk about it. We don't want to address it, and so we're just kind of like, oh man, let's just hope nothing bad happens. We'll get through the end of the year. We'll try to kick back up in January. Man, I would argue that this time of year is the time to press into end of year giving and actually to hit the gas on it, and to do so strategically with clarity. Because I think if you can do it, the results, the return on that investment of time and energy and, kind of pointed and calculated instruction and conversation is really good. Josh, for you, and all the years that you've been helping churches and coming alongside, especially on the budget side, the accounting side, I mean, is it a pretty regular trend that you see churches, kind of get to the end of the year when it, comes to their budgets, and, maybe they're panicking a little bit, they're freaking out, they're uncertain about how they're going to end the year financially. Those P&Ls aren't looking so good. What is your experience in working with churches?
Yeah, gosh, I think it's one of those things where giving sometimes becomes that taboo subject,
Mm-hmm.
where pastors just don't want to talk about it for a number of everything you just said. Visitors, we don't want to be perceived as that church. We hear all the drama out in the world of, well, the church is only concerned about money and
Yep.
and all those things that come along with it, and then we also want to make sure that we're shying away from prosperity, health, and wealth gospel type things,
Yep.
But I would contend a lot of times the reasons why we see talking about giving being so difficult in church is because we allow it. We don't make generosity part of our DNA. When generosity becomes part of our DNA, then we talk about it regularly and we make sure everybody knows this is who we are as a church. And for you to be part of our church, you need to be generous as well. This is a big part of what we do. But since I went roundabout to answer more directly your question, yes, inevitably we see churches this time of year. This also evokes a lot of the people that come into the conversations of, well, do we need to change our fiscal year that it doesn't look like we're going to miss budget, and then miraculously everybody gives in December, and all of a sudden we make budget, yada yada yada. I'm still an advocate. Don't change your fiscal year. There's still a lot of reasons to stay on a calendar fiscal year. Anyway, not the topic of today.
Yeah,
But
no, and we've addressed that at different times, but I think your point illustrates beautifully why it's critical to have an end of year giving strategy that is targeting the notion of generosity, and so there's a couple reasons for that. One is because people are naturally more generous at the end of the year. They just are, and that's not anecdotal. Like that's a fact. We know that across all like nonprofit and charitable organizations in the United States, these 2 months are the generally speaking kind of the highest months of contributions they'll receive. And so people are naturally more generous, and there's a lot of tax benefits that can kind of motivate us to get some year-end giving knocked out before December 31st. Also, look, this is a reality. I'm not saying that you like manipulate it. I'm just saying that you accept it. And the reality is there's an emotional tug here. People want to express gratitude as they look back on the year. People want to express gratitude for maybe something that really, something powerful happened in their life because of the church, and they want to do that. And man, families often reflect on what has mattered most to them over the last, 12 months, and are more inclined, they're more likely to want to give a gift. But here is the challenge. And this is really, really important. People don't give generously unless they know two things. These are two things that can drive every end of year generosity initiative. Number one is what the need is. And number two is what the impact will be. If you can share what the need is and what the impact will be, if you can clearly communicate the mission, the vision, the results of what that end of year giving is going to look like, man, it really draws people in. Because it goes beyond the, please give announcement. Like if you could just please give, it makes us sound desperate. It makes us sound like, listen, we're like 30 days out from the electric getting shut off. Like, please that's what people hear. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's what people hear. It's like, oh my gosh, are we in any danger here? People don't give to announcements. People don't give to begging. They give to purpose.
Yeah.
They give to purpose. And so, the challenge isn't that people are unwilling to give. Most people want to give something. They just want to give it in a meaningful way. And so the challenge is that, churches sometimes assume, well, we assume a lot in church, but there's a lot of things that we assume that people know. And that, we assume that people know what it is we're trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
We assume that people already know like what God has been doing. And that their generosity is making a difference. We just assume that people know that. And I think that goes to your point, man, of talking about like ongoing regular generosity moments in your service, in the life of your church, because the more you can keep that out front. And so, I mean, really, the end of year can become this moment. It's an opportunity where we're helping people connect their generosity to life change. And I mean, I can give you just a quick story of this. This is so cool. And then I'd be curious to see, like what your reaction to this is. So we just recently had some partners from a church plant in Ukraine come on site and kind of talk about, the war that's going on in Ukraine, how it's affected the people, how it's impacted society, how it's, I mean, really the sheer devastation that this has created. It drove, and there's some things that I didn't even know, but hearing it kind of, from the horse's mouth was so powerful. But, this war had driven so many Ukrainians to become refugees in like Poland and other neighboring countries because they lived in high target areas. And so, man, just the family displacement, the brokenheartedness. But in the midst of all of this sadness is this church plant that is like feeding soldiers' families, because any healthy man with less than 3 kids is required to serve in the Ukrainian army. So they're feeding soldiers' families. They are helping people that are displaced, folks that are coming back from Poland and other countries to try to reestablish in areas that are less likely to be overtaken by Russia. They are actively serving those families. So, man, they are ministering to people. They are connecting with students and kids in a big way, like the next gen. And so, man, reaching next gen in a war-torn area is such a fascinating challenge to begin with. But as they told their story, they kind of showed a video of their church, and they told a specific story about this woman who had gone through a really tough time, was displaced because of the war. She came back. She didn't have a relationship with Christ. And then because of the work of this church, she ended up, getting plugged into a meal, met some people, gave her life to Christ, was baptized, and then met her future husband at the church. And then they got married. And so as they told that story, it was so clear. It was so clear for the church as to like, when you give here and we support this church plant, this is the kind of stuff that's happening.
Yep.
And dude, it broke my heart. Like I was ready to like come out of pocket to like, what can I give? Yep. What else can I do? Because it was so clear that the generosity of this place is changing lives. And they could directly point to our support. Like we purchased the baptistry for them. Well, had we not purchased that, it may have been more difficult for that woman to get baptized. And so it's like, oh man. So when you can show what the need is and what the impact will be, it makes a huge difference. In all of the conversations you've had with trying to encourage generosity and connecting it to impact and life change with pastors, what's been like the biggest thing you come back to on a regular basis? Like kind of the point that you consistently try to drive home to help them understand how important this is.
Well, it's very simple, and it's right in line with you. It's relaying the fact to the donor. Well, there's two, but the biggest one that relates with you is my giving equals ministry happening. And when we can relate everything that happens from your gift to actual tangible ministry happening, it really impacts the generosity and the levels of generosity that people will have. this goes into a number of things. Like, to your point, that story obviously, activated giving and was a catalyst for giving in that time period. Well, what about putting a story like that on your website? What about putting, those kind of impacts and things like that, telling stories of how real ministry happened because because of your faithful gifts, we were able to do X, Y, and Z. It's the same thing I encourage churches every time they send out a donor statement. Don't just send the donor statement. That looks like another form they're going to get, like, well, I got my W-2 now. I got my 1099 now, whatever. Oh, okay, I got my donor statements and I've got that for my taxes. No, send a letter along with it. And write it up. Pastor, write this letter to say thank you for your gift. Because of your generosity, we were able to do X, Y, and Z, whatever that is.
Man, that's huge.
It is. And people, this is just human nature. We like tangible results.
Yep.
We don't like intangibles. We don't like, this is why I contend, I always tell it this way. This is why diets don't always work. Because we don't always see tangible results from dieting. And so that's why you go 2-3 weeks, 2-3 months, whatever it is, I don't feel like I look any skinnier because I look down at myself. So you're not going to see it anyway. I don't have the results. I don't feel different. The food I am eating is terrible. I sure wish I could have a Little Debbie Christmas cake.
Oh man.
Preach.
A gift from God.
Hey, for those of you on the live stream,
there it is right there. I love it. The fact that you have that right next to you is both impressive.
In the trash can. So yeah,
that's awesome. You've already burned through those guys.
Wow, did we go on a tangent? So I think that's why at the end of the day, you end up getting, well, I'm just gonna quit dieting because it didn't work. Yeah, and I would contend it's the same thing. This is the thing I always tell church, this is why I mean, gosh, this will preach to so many things. What gets measured gets managed. If we don't have a way to measure what our results are, same thing with giving. If we don't, if as a donor, I'm not able to tangibly measure the results of my giving, I might not be inclined to continue or give as much or do as much. And so I think that's really the emphasis here. And you already alluded to it as well. The whole idea of people may just not know. I gave a generosity presentation on how to maximize and encourage radical generosity a couple weeks ago. And one of the things I talked about, do you have a mission and vision? Is it clear? Can the average church member or church attender, we'll even say, not even member, can the average church attender articulate your mission and vision when asked? And if they can't, you haven't said it enough.
That's true.
And we could talk all day about mission and vision, and that's probably a whole nother episode. But really, what are we doing? Why are we here as a ministry? And then I would contend, and then I'm going to shut up and let you keep going. But the last piece of this is do people, and this is do your donors, do the people of your church trust your system?
Oh man,
do they trust that when I give, it's going to be well managed and it's going to be well stewarded? And I would also contend that the system through which you manage your finances, Simplified Church, makes a big impact on people having trust that there's not just this 25-year-old kid preaching to us in a church plant and, we're going to give him money, but he has no idea what to do with it. He has no idea how to manage it, things like that. So having a sound financial system to have trust that people can give.
Oh, it does, man. And it makes a huge difference in that space of transparency. Like that's one of the biggest things churches have had to learn the hard way is when there's a lack of transparency, people stop giving or, or they become very hostile with their giving. And so then because they want to know, like, that's why we want to give some money, but we want to make sure it goes to this, and so they want, that kind of designated purposeful giving. So those things happen all the time. And I mean, a lot of you out there in the audience, you know this, you've experienced these and had these conversations along the way. But Josh, you're exactly right, man. People have to know like why and what. And so having, man, clarity around that is so critical. And that's why I would even argue that this time of year is such a great time to really begin to put the wheels on that bus, to become more purposeful. And so there's a lot of grace and forgiveness and a lot of experimentation that can happen in this time of year if you get serious about it. And so, why a year-end initiative matters, is because it's not about pressure. It's not about pressuring your people. It's about creating more clarity and then inviting the church into it. And that's really, really cool. So let me give you some helpful reasons as to why having a year-end initiative matters. One is it like, just like you said, man, it gives people a defined vision to invest in. And so, man, people need a story to give toward. They want to know what they're a part of. That's true of my giving. It's true of everybody's giving. That's what they want to know. And so, man, when you set a vision around a specific opportunity, whether it's expansion or outreach, missions, disaster relief, campus improvements, whatever it is, people can imagine the results. And when they can imagine the results, they get excited about it. Also, like, it lifts generosity beyond paying bills. Like, nobody wants to hear from the stage like, well, we do got to pay the staff, and
Right.
we got to put carpet in the middle school room because Timmy threw up there back after Halloween. One of our deacons dropped a cigarette outside and he burned up a bush. Like, whatever. Like, people don't want to give money to that. No one in the history of ever has been inspired by the phrase "help us make budget."
Right.
Like, that's never happened. But people are inspired by "help us launch a new kid space so we can reach more families."
Yeah. Yeah.
Help us support missionaries in unreached nations. Help us fund counseling and support for families in crisis. Oh, I can visualize the results of that. People give to change lives. And the other part of this that we probably don't talk enough about, and where I've encouraged a lot of churches to double down on, is that, man, giving, generosity, it builds discipleship. It absolutely, like, giving is spiritual formation. It is. Jesus talked about generosity more than almost any other topic. And so when we invite people into giving, into generosity, we're not asking from them, we're building faith in them. And that is huge. And so when you are talking about whether it's a year-end giving initiative or ongoing generosity, it is critical to connect this to discipleship, to actual, like, growing in the faith. And then the last reason I would give you why I think this really, really matters for churches, and why, and when we get to the end of this, I'm going to give you like a kind of a step-by-step process on how you can actually execute this in less than 2 weeks. Like, you can have this done and ready, and then you can experiment. But here's the last one I want to give you, is that it creates ministry momentum. Man, I can't talk enough. I mean, I could do a whole series of episodes about the critical nature of momentum in churches, and how, like, man, the work of creating waves and the riding waves and then building out and starting new waves. But a strong year-end, giving initiative, it funds vision for January through March in a lot of ways. And so instead of starting the year in recovery mode, you start in mobilization mode. And that's often, how many times do you see that, man, where you get to the top of the year and churches just, it just feels like they got done with Fight Club and they're just in recovery mode at the top of the year. How often does that come up in your conversations?
Well, it's crazy. Yeah. I mean, I think that, when you finish the year strong, you put yourself on a good foot to move forward. Those are good problems to have when you're getting to the end of the year and you're saying, oh man, when we pull our statement of accounts, our profit and loss, when we look at what was the income for the year versus what was the expense for the year, and it's in a positive, that's a good thing. I don't have to state the obvious. Now, there's some other questions we could have about that and what we do with that profit, quote unquote, as it moves forward. But, even taking a step back to your discipleship, I think it's in two ways. The momentum of discipleship and how it moves people to that next phase of their spiritual development. I think if you look back in the Old Testament, Malachi, where, the verse about tithing, bring this to the storehouse, so there may be food in my house. And the only place in the Bible the Lord says, test me in this, right? I mean, he doesn't say that about anything else other than,
Right.
hey, when you are faithful to bring to the storehouse, I can be tested. And I think that's important as we look at that. This goes into, should the pastor know what people give? I'd say it's an act of spiritual development. So probably yes. Whole nother podcast. Man, I just come up with podcast episodes while we're on podcast.
we gotta get somebody on here to start writing these down.
Right. Well, I need a note taker.
Yep.
But man, I think it is so important that as you finish the year strong and you maintain momentum, because it's like anything, it's a snowball effect. What starts small, as that snowball keeps rolling, it grows and gets bigger, and that's the momentum that happens from that. But that big snowball, if it stops, it's hard to get pushed going again, and so you've got to maintain it over time as well.
Man, I love that, dude. And it is like, that's exactly what we're trying to help create. And these are all practical steps that like you can take to your team and sit down and have conversations with and start using some of these points as opportunities to ask questions and seeing how the rest of the people on your team, whether it's a volunteer team, it's, your board of deacons or elders, or ever how you're governed, your staff, even just getting a few people together, key leaders, and just saying, hey, I want to talk about a couple of these ideas and I want to see what you think, and using some of these points and watch how they get excited about it. I'm telling you, man, when you bring a real clear strategy around generosity, just in general, people get excited about that. But as you look at kind of year-end giving, and you're going to say, hey, every year we're going to attempt some sort of year-end giving initiative, you can get people pretty jazzed about that because people know the things we've already stated. Like, we instinctually know those things. Like, we know that Giving Tuesday in December is like one of the biggest days of generosity in the world. And so many organizations jump on that. Maybe your church does that. Maybe you guys do a big Giving Tuesday thing. But man, I see it all the time, especially you log on Facebook in and around Giving Tuesday, and they're giving you a list of recommendations that you can support on your profile. That, hey, you drive your friends list. Hey, I like this organization. You guys should consider giving to them. This happens all the time.
Sure.
I mean, we know how important this is. So let me give you a couple of things here that I think, in terms of like forming that plan. If you're saying, okay, I want something I want to roll out on December 7th, which I believe is the first Sunday of December, if memory serves. But you're thinking, I want to roll something out that first Sunday in December. What can I do right now with my team, knowing that Thanksgiving is a week away? Like, what can I do? Well, first thing is this: clarify the vision, make it simple, make it concrete. So before you make any sort of announcement, before you put anything down on paper, here's one question that I used and that your church can use, anybody can use. This question is, if someone gave $100 today, what would happen because of it? Like, if someone walked in and said, I want to give this $100 bill to this church, what would happen? And if you can answer that question, you're taking the idea and you're making it tangible, something that people can visualize, something that matters. One big idea is stronger than 10 small ones. Keep that in mind. So like, what's the one thing? Like, what's one thing that could happen because of that $100? And that really kind of drives it. Second is, I think it's important to name the initiative. Name it something that you like, something that is recognizable, has good branding to it. Because if it works really well for your church and you look back and, you run some evaluation on it, and then you go, well, we're going to do this again next year. We're going to build on this because there's enough data that says, man, this is workable. You want to have something you can name so that people know, oh yeah, we did that last year. I remember. Yeah, there was something about that I remember. So you want to name it. So a campaign tends to feel real when you kind of have a name for it. And then as you're doing this campaign, make sure that you're weaving into your generosity moments in the service, whether that's passing the offering plate, whether you have a deacon or a volunteer gets up and does an offering meditation, like whatever your rhythm is, make sure that you're telling stories of life change, like real inspired stories of generosity, whether it's folks that are getting baptized, young people taking next steps in their faith, families restored, missions supported, on and on and on. Here's a phrase that was given to me years ago in this conversation of generosity. I've never forgotten it, and I cling to it, like a cat does a tree around water. Stories open hearts and they open hands. Stories open hearts and they open hands. And where that generally leads is to open wallets. Okay.
Yeah.
We don't like to say that in the statement, but I think that's what we all kind of know.
Sure.
So man, short videos, testimonies, stories, here's what your giving made possible this week. Moments in your service are powerful. And then lastly, this is it. Seriously, this is not rocket science. It's just communicate, multiple ways: emails, weekend services, text messages, social media, your website, printed handouts, whatever it is. Communicate like crazy. Don't expect that you're going to announce something on December 7 and you're going to get to the end of the year and you're going to go, well, we told them once. I mean, the cash should just be rolling in. That's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. First off, like, not all of your church gathers on one Sunday, right? I mean, most people like rotate in and out. And so it'll take you 3 weeks to hit your whole church, more than likely. So you got to be talking about this a lot, assuming that at some point they may only ever hear it once from stage because of the irregularity of attendance, right? So,
well, I'd say even within 3 weeks, even more so 3 weeks from multiple channels.
Yes.
I mean, and then we're so busy. I mean, the Facebook feed is so full.
Yes.
Your schedule is so full. I mean, yeah, at least for the next 3 weeks, if not until you're nauseated by by saying it yourself because you feel like you've said it over and over. But man,
and every time that you communicate it, attach something to it. Just attach a little win, some sort of tangible impact. And it could be something super small, but it's important that, and again, you plan all this out, but it can make such a big difference. And this is not hard. You can literally get this knocked out in an afternoon with your team, or just you. If maybe you're just the guy or just the gal that has to do this, everything I've just given you, you can sit down and you can get knocked out in half a day. You can get something designed up and printed like really fast. That being said, the one caveat I always try to add to this is after you've built your plan, you know what you're doing, you've incorporated those steps. Now you have to make giving easy. Okay. Don't make giving hard. So this is where like we could probably touch on in a later episode, but the reality is if it takes more than 30 seconds to give, most people won't finish. Like giving has to be super, super simple. You have to remove the friction that happens there. So online giving, mobile giving, apps, drop boxes, QR codes, pre-addressed envelopes, like make generosity simple so that people know like, oh man, to give, that's all I have to do to give. I mean, the reality is for most churches, you can get NFC tags for your seats, your pews, so cheap. And then you can have someone tap their phone and it'll pull up a link on their phone right there. You can click on it and the top of that link just says give. Click that, type in how much you want, and they double tap for Apple Pay or whatever bank app that they have. And then boom, in less than 30 seconds, they've given a donation. If you're doing offering boxes, if you're passing the plate, make it super simple. Pack those seats, pack those pews with offering envelopes. Make sure people know. If you're doing online giving, make sure it's your web address /give. It cannot be web address /this page that gives you to a button that if you click that button, it'll bring you to a link at the bottom of the page where you can go set up your gift. Like that's, you've already lost those dollars.
Yep.
So it has to be super, super simple. For Simplify, how, excuse me, there it is. How simple is it like for churches when they set up like reoccurring giving, when they set up online giving, when they do those things? I mean, how simple is that for people? Like for folks like that are listening, they're like, the online giving thing, I don't know about that. But like, what kind of benefit have you seen with the partner churches that Simplify has and the impact of like online giving or reoccurring giving?
Oh goodness. I mean, that's a whole episode in itself. There we go again. Need a note taker.
There we go. Write it down.
But yeah, I think twofold. One, it is picking a platform and sticking with it. Don't there's a misnomer out there that, oh, well, if we make Zelle and Cash App and Venmo and all these other vehicles available that people can give, it confuses the donor. Much like taking too long, giving too many options. Because then they don't, well, which one's best? Which one do you want me? It goes back to that trust factor. This also goes into, how many options inside of that do you give for people to give to? And I could make arguments for not having, multiple funds where you've got 15 different fund options on your online giving platform for people to give to. Have one, general giving. Just give it there. If you want to give to a designation, write us a check. Do something different. We can have a chat about that all day long. But yes, make it simple. And as a business owner, so if I can talk from a secular standpoint, 3 of my favorite words are monthly recurring revenue.
Yes.
Well, pastor, 3 of your favorite words should become monthly recurring revenue.
That's good.
Where when someone has online giving, they're able to, every online giving platform out there and their brother is going to give you an option to set up recurring gifts. Well, then you don't miss the person that forgot their checkbook or they were on vacation that week or whatever. That gift is just going to happen. And being able to know that you have some consistent revenue coming in on a monthly basis is that an absolute game changer for your ministry. To just, churches are at every church is at the risk of your donors.
Yes.
You're totally reliant on the generosity of your donors. So if you can know that, hey, this donor has set up a recurring gift that we're going to get on the 15th of every month, we know at least we're going to get $100. That's one step in the right direction.
Yeah, we can count on that $1,200 a year. It's huge, man.
Yep.
And that's the other thing, dude, that like the beauty of kind of a year-end giving initiative is it's the first step toward building regular givers. Because a lot of people who don't give will give to this. They'll give a one-time gift. Right. And that's absolutely amazing. And that's really what I'm trying to encourage you to think about this as in your church is this is a one-time giving opportunity. And so folks that already regularly give, they might give a little extra gift above and beyond. But for a lot of folks that do not give regularly, they give irregularly, or they've never given at all. They'll step into this if you cast the vision. If you give them a tangible result of how this is going to make an impact, they'll give for the first time. And that is a critical baby step toward building regular giving. So let me, I promised you I'd give you this. So let me give it to you. This is a practical thing that, again, apply all those steps. I just, in the planning, and then here comes the execution. Set up in the very first Sunday of December, you're going to set up 1 or 2 Christmas trees in your lobby, in your narthex, in your vestibule, whatever it is you call it. And you're going to launch the Giving Tree Initiative. The Giving Tree Initiative is going to have 1 card, and it's going to have 3 levels of giving on it. You're going to have 25 to 100. You're going to have 100 to 500 and 500 and beyond. And in each one of those categories, you are going to spell out that when you give a gift in this like window of or this range of giving, like when you give a gift here, these are the types of things that you're making possible. And so you're actually going to take the time to list them, that you're covering coffee for guests, you're covering gifts for guests, you're covering curriculum, you're taking care of the facilities, you are funding the turkey outreach program, you are helping our widows and orphans ministry, you are taking care of teachers in the neighborhood, you're buying supplies for the classrooms and offices. You are on and on and on. Like every one of those big tangibles that people can look at and go, man, when I give a gift of somewhere between $25 and $100, these are the types of things I'm making possible. So you're going to make that card. You're going to give those 3 kind of tiers of gifts. And then you're going to attach a QR code in every one of those. And that QR code is going to be linked to your either your general fund, it's going to be linked to your one fund, or like in our case, we created the Giving Tree Fund, which was a specific fund. And the reason we did that, Josh, and not just through the general giving, was because it allows us to like go into the back end and click on that fund and generate an instant report of when we started this initiative, we had $0 in it. Now at the end of this initiative, this is how many dollars we have in it. It still goes into our general fund, but it's a way to track it directly through that QR code. And then we have some empirical data.
Yep.
And so now people know they have these cards, and then you're going to encourage people by telling stories, and sharing impact. And you're going to invite them to take a step into generosity by taking one of those cards, and wherever God leads them to scan that QR code and to give. But here's the really cool part. If possible, and you may have to get creative on how to pull this off. Like on our back end, we were able to do this pretty easy. Whatever you're using may not be able to be so simple, but we encourage people to give a gift in honor of someone else, because we're talking about impact. Like, who made a big difference in your life, that shared Jesus with you, that helped you grow in your faith? Who could you honor, both making an impact at this church, but honoring the impact they made in you, and write their name? And throughout the entire month of December, during our giving moment, our generosity moment, we're going to scroll those names. So people can see, man, look at the impact that people have made in other people's lives, and look at the impact you're making here. Isn't that amazing? And so, man, giving people, and so you can do that with a card attached to it. So as they give their gift, they can fill out kind of in honor of, and then drop that off in a box. There's lots of ways that you can do that. But all of this you can have planned, designed. You can have it printed at Staples or Vistaprint in 3 hours, hole punched, and for $2 and some hooks from Walmart. You can have these up on your giving trees in the lobby December 7th. Yep. And encourage people. And then you've got an entire month of asking people to step into that. And here's why. And at the end of the year, you have empirical data. This is how much. Now, I will tell you that we launched our giving trees this past Sunday because I like a longer runway of generosity because I'm cheap. So I want more time. So we have a longer runway. And just from Sunday to today, we've got about $3,000 that's come in one-time gifts.
Wow. That's great.
Yeah. And if that's all that came in, like seriously, and it won't be, but let's just say for the sake of argument that it was, like, we ended the year $3,000 better than how we started. And now those people that gave have stepped into a unique and new level of generosity. And then we can, at the end of the year, celebrate that, send all of those people letters and say, thank you. Thank you for being a part of the giving tree. Here's the impact that you made. And so, man, we get to celebrate it. We get to create momentum going into the next year. We get to appreciate the people that gave. And then we have extra resources to do the ministry that we've been called to do. This is a simple plan. And you don't have to you can do whatever version of this that you want, but this is what we're trying. And we put a lot of research into, like, what do people respond well to? And we feel like this is a good attempt. Yeah. And so this is the first year we've consolidated our kind of generosity asks around this time of year, because in previous years there's been so many different things people can give to. And it's like, right. Oh my gosh, this is too much, man. Can we just do one thing? And so they're like, all right, what do you want to do? So I want to do this. And I said, okay, let's do it. You plan it. Okay, great. So this is what we're trying. But I think it's going to make a big difference in our church and lives of our people. And so that would be my encouragement of how to, establish and create a solid end of year giving initiative, something that you can, repeat every single year. I don't know. Thoughts on that plan, man? I didn't get a chance to run through that ahead of time with you, but it's already out and running now. So hopefully it goes well.
Too late now, right? Yeah. No, I think it's great. To your point where you kind of ended that, where so many times at churches, we have so many different things going on. And, even with your ministry leaders, everybody's, we're doing it right now with our developers, what are important fixes on this software? Well, if everything's important, nothing's important.
Yes.
Right. So it's great to have, what is that one thing that we're going to do? What is that one thing that church wide we can all get behind and just provides unity. It provides clarity. It simplifies things. It just does so many things for your ministry moving forward and how you're finishing the year that, if we do this Giving Tree initiative and people are already giving to some of these pet projects, as you described, through the Giving Tree initiative, that at the end of the day, we end up better for it. So,
yes,
great idea.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it, and we can touch base at the end of the year, and we can talk about how well it performed. But if you're launching an end of year generosity initiative, we'd love to hear from you on how it performed. I mean, shoot us an email. Podcast at simplifiedchurch.com is the easiest way to do that. Shoot us an email. We'd love to hear what that looks like for you. If you want to know more about how you can build a better, a more trusted system so that people feel more confident about their generosity, set up a discovery call, simplifiedchurch.com. If you have questions, send those over. But also, if you just want to set up a discovery call, Joshua and his team would love to spend some time with you, because having a trusted system, I mean, it changes everything. It's really the cornerstone of generosity. People want to know that like what they're giving to is safe, it's well managed, it's well stewarded, it's not going to be wasted or lost. So man, this could be great. And being able to make that announcement to your church. Hey, this is a company we've partnered with and they handle that stuff. And then there's real accountability. It's not just, well, who's handling that? I'd say I had, we were selling some t-shirts or something out in the lobby a few months ago, and had a lady come up to me and she said, hey, the volunteers are gone and it's kind of late, but I was really wanting to buy a shirt. And I was like, oh, that's fine. Like, yeah, you just take the shirt and, if you want to give online or something, go for it. She's like, well, I have cash. And so she handed me like $15 in cash. And I looked at her, I said, ma'am, I really appreciate this. I said, but here's the deal. I don't touch the money here. As a staff member, I do not touch the money at all. And so here's the deal. If you want to give that gift in the offering box and put a note on it, you knock yourself out. Or if you just want to take that shirt, whatever it takes to avoid you handing me cash right now, I am very comfortable with. And she said, and she laughed and I laughed. And then she said, dude, and I'll never forget this. I mean, this is going to be burned in. She just said, like, it is so comforting to know that at our church, we have a high level of accountability when it comes to money.
Yep.
And I was like, yeah, that's it. Like, trust matters. And so partnering with Simplified Church is a great way to establish trust, set up that discovery call. Thanks for hanging out with us, gang. And I hope you have, man, a great prep time getting ready for Thanksgiving and this kind of wildly holiday season. And we'll be praying that your generosity initiatives for year end go well. We'll see you next time, everybody.
Thanks. Have a good day.